Should I lend money to family? Well, in this video, we are going to talk through those logistics. My name is Carmen.
And I'm Darius. And the answer to that question right out of the gate is yes, but with interest. But before we get into the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when we post new videos.
Okay, so we want to go through like all of the do's and don'ts of lending money to family because we have learned along the way, we're remaining neutral, that we're not pointing anybody out. We're just having conversations around our personal experiences and the experiences we know that our community has had.
Right.
Okay. So as a married couple, I can say that when we first got married, there were some things that came our way where we did lend money to family. I'm not going to say that it put a strain on us, but it was more so like, wait, are we going to do this long term? What does this look like? What happens if somebody else asks us for money? Like, we had to have these conversations and to really sit down and scrutinize what we wanted to do moving forward as a pair, because we recognize that we have specific goals that we're trying to achieve, and we weren't going to be able to achieve those goals if we continued to contribute to the family's bank accounts.
Right. So first and foremost, we had to decide what is the minimum amount in which we need to have a conversation about. Because if I have a family member that asks for money, it's not just me giving this loan. It's coming from the both of us. So both of us need to have a conversation, because the idea is for us to move forward financially, and we can't move forward financially if we're lending money without interest. That it doesn't work in anybody's system.
Mm-hmm. But before we even go into that, I think it's important that we just set the tone. And setting the tone is recognizing that if you're going to go create this sort of income, you have to understand how taxes and inflation play into this. Mm-hmm. And taxes and inflation are going to significantly erode your wealth if you aren't keeping up with earning money. And so if you're lending money, not even just to family and friends, just if you're lending money in general, you want to create a business around lending money, because I don't know any business that is lending money that doesn't charge interest, doesn't have collateral, that whole thing. So if you want to lend money, then you have to understand the structures and what's in place in order to make this work so that you can keep up with inflation and keep up with taxes at the end of the day.
Right. So first and foremost, let's say the money that you have in your bank is earning a small amount of interest. As soon as you withdraw that money and lend it, you're no longer earning interest on that money. So you took it out of environment, even in a checking or savings account, you took it out of an environment where it's earning money to put it somewhere where if somebody is giving you back your money without any interest, you just lost money. Well,
let's do the scenario. So I ask you for $500.
Okay. I have a conversation with my wife to see how much money we need to make from this, and for how long that money can be outstanding before it becomes a problem for us. Because if I lend $500 back, I want $500 plus the interest that I lost out on the opportunity of earning while it was outstanding.
Hope y'all heard that. That's can be a simple conversation, or it can be a extremely heated conversation, depending on where you and your partner are in your financial journey.
And it's a heated conversation when you don't understand the movement or motion of money.
Exactly. Yeah. And just that simple breakdown that Darius just did, it was like, wait, let me ask my partner, right? Instead of just lending money, because now if you don't bring your partner into the situation, now they don't understand what's going on, and that could be a heated conversation. But then recognizing like, what are we going to do here? Because if I give $500, that's a lot of money that could be sitting for months without a guaranteed return payback. And if it hurts or doesn't hurt you, regardless, you have to understand that that's a loss, that's an investment that needs to come back. So every time that you withdraw money with the intent for lending, that is an investment. You should think about it as an investment, because again, you have specific goals and things that you're trying to do. And if you don't put that same respect on money, then it's just going to affect the whole system, because how you do anything is how you do everything.
I started laughing. It was like, oh man, D, you soft. You got to talk to your wife about money. I thought you was the man.
Well, let's have that conversation. Yeah, let's have that conversation.
Well, I'm the one with the money. So now what? You can't, there's no way someone can get you or pressure you, or what do you call it? Intimidate you,
intimidate you or make you feel bad.
When you're the one that have the money and they need it. So regardless of what anybody says,
they're trying to make you feel bad because they don't have the money and they feel bad.
Talk is cheap.
Hurt people.
Talk is cheap. And if you're the one with the money, you have to understand that you're trying to move things forward, not just for you as a couple, but we have a family, and that's taking money away from our family. So if that's the case, you need to also be aware or prepared to put money back into that family if you're going to take it away.
Yeah, I like that. You don't need to justify anything.
No.
Right? Because it could be, oh, you softy, or it could be Carmen, your husband's controlling you, whatever it is, right? People are going to come at you any sort of way.
Or he cheat. Oh, I heard cheat.
You are
a
cheap,
long
though.
time.
You are cheap. But that's how we do so well, because you're so frugal. But the point of this is, again, you don't have to justify anything, because you also have to remember that this person is coming to you for money, and you don't have to justify anything. So if you are operating as a unit, hey, my wife and I, or my partner and I, we have a certain process. Let's go through the process, and if we can help you, then maybe we'll work it out.
Are you looking for a life insurance policy specifically designed to help you accomplish your financial goals?
And if you have a policy, or if you're looking for more education, would you like to be a part of a community with like-minded individuals who are all using life insurance to accomplish their financial goals? If so, click on the link below. We would love for you to join the Wealth Nation Money School. But the next play that I want to talk about is basically, how do we go through this whole process? So if this happens where a family member or a friend were to ask for money, we use the cash value from our whole life insurance policy to lend the funds. Why? Because if you're new to the channel, we do everything through our whole life insurance cash value, because we know that this whole money business, the foundation of it is going to start from the cash value of our policy. We know the terms and conditions and the cost that's associated with lending money. So we know at minimum, we at least have to get that cost back, because there is a fee for lending money. So we know that if we're going to lend out $500 from our cash value, we'll request a loan, deploy those $500, but we know that the terms are probably going to be at least 5%, so that we could at least recoup the cost that it took us for lending that money.
Right. And the same thing, again, operates even if you don't have a life insurance policy, and what you deploy from funds from like us, you still have a checking account which has those same costs associated with it. It's the interest that you're no longer able to earn. So you apply that to whatever loan that you're giving them to make sure you get that money back. Now, it's important. Every loan works this way. Every loan works this way. Even a loan that you get at 0% interest has fees, upfront fees. You might borrow $100, but they give you 90, but you're on the hook for 100 at 0%. They put the terms in the contract. You know what I mean? So it's important for us to understand the difference between a loan and a donation.
I was going to say that, yeah.
There's a difference between a loan and a donation. A donation is a gift. You're not expecting to get that money back, because you're giving out of the kindness of your heart. But if somebody say, I need a loan, then you need to charge them interest, because every loan I know of has interest and or fees.
And that is too, that's the real piece of things. Lending to family can be emotional, and it's emotional because of the lack of education. That's what I'm going to say. It's a lack of education. And what I mean by that is the individual, the lendee, the person who needs money, probably doesn't have a sound foundation to maintain their finances. And then what happens is the lender all of a sudden becomes resentful and gets frustrated because you even asked for money in the first place. When really the conversation that needs to be had is, wait, why do you need this money? How can I help you transition your finances so that you don't have to ask for money? Like, maybe we'll do this one loan, but in the back end, I'm going to help you make sure that we have a certain savings plan in place so that you don't have to do this. You don't have to continue to be on the hamster wheel, because I would say that is the first flag when somebody goes, hey, I need some money. And especially if it's a few $100, that should be sign enough to go, wait a second, let's help. We need to jump in, as opposed to holding this person away from you. You need to jump in and be like, how can I help you? How can we figure out for you to manage your money? Because this, again, is just the opportunity for you all to come together as a family and do better financially.
Right, because when you lend them that money, it solves the immediate need, but it doesn't solve the root cause. It doesn't fix it at its foundation or at its root. So the problem is going to keep coming up until you address the root of the reason why there isn't any money available for this individual to pay whatever they're paying in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And then you have to know that there's boundaries too. Some people might not be open to receiving this information, and that's okay. But then you also have to know what the ramifications are. If they're not open to learning about money and how to save money, then you also have to recognize that they're probably going to continue to come back for you for money because they're not going to take the time to invest in themselves. Mm-hmm. So at that point, that's where you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, is this something that I want to continue to do? Because you're the one who has the control of being able to deploy the funds or not. And that's where you have to get real with yourself and say, is this going to be a reoccurring thing? If it already is a recurring thing and you don't want it to be a recurring thing, you have the right to stop it.
Right. And it doesn't always have to be a money that's associated with getting a loan or something. You may not want to wash your cars. You may need some yard work done. You may need to
that could be the payback.
Paint the garage. Like, there's other things that you can do to make sure there's an even value exchange so that everybody walks away happy and better from it.
That's a really good point. It doesn't always have to be bill for bill. It can be value exchange. And that's currency in the first place, right? Is the exchange of value. So if it's not going to be money, then you need to figure out how is the exchange going to happen so that all parties are satisfied. That's the true point of a loan, is that all parties end up being satisfied at the end of the day. The person who needs the money gets the money, and the lender who lent out the money gets the money back plus interest. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that this relationship can coexist.
Yes. So the moral of the story is, do you lend money to family members? If they need it, yes, but make sure there's terms associated with it because it's a loan. And if they want a donation, tell them to ask them for a donation. Ask for a donation and don't use the wrong verbiage, because if you say you need to come to me and say you need a loan, there's going to be some interest associated with it.
And there's different expectations with those words. So getting clear and making sure that each of the parties understand the expectations that come with that.
Yeah, with an insurance policy, you have to have the right verbiage where you call the home office to get your money. You either say, I want to get a loan or I want to get a withdrawal. Mm-hmm. In both cases, you get money, but it's under different circumstances. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you should start applying those same things in your own life, because if you work one way with one person or another way with a different business, you're going to start forgetting and everything is just going to be confusing. But if you treat everything the exact same way, the results that you receive from your consistency is going to pay off in the long run.
And the other thing too to note in conclusion is that this individual is going to need money anyway. They're going to get it from someone, so they might as well get it from you as long as it makes sense. And when you create specific terms that make sense, they could potentially get a discount, because the only other option for them may be to go to a cash and carry place, and they're going to charge them 15+%. So they can at least get a discount from you, where you can control your costs, still lend the money with whatever the collateral is, and it makes sense for both parties. Again, lending only makes sense if both parties are satisfied. I can't repeat that enough.
Yes, let's keep the money in the family, and let's educate everybody on keeping money in the family. Again, if you go to a check cashing place, you go to the bank, you're going to be
outside the family.
You're going to be paying interest outside of the family when that money can stay in the family and help the family.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So if you want more information on how to manage your funds and how Carmen and I manage our funds once we get it, so that we are able to invest, able to lend money, not necessarily family members, but in general, check out our next video where we talk about how we use the 50-30-20 rule.
And don't forget to own your own lifestyle.
Or someone else will.